Yes, people, a spoiler talk for Venom. I'm finally doing it, because if I don't do it today, I'm just never gonna do it. You mean he didn't yell spoilers like he always does for spoiler talks? Yeah, I got tired of doing that, so I don't think I'm gonna do that anymore. I take comfort in the fact that Venom actually made quite a bit of money its opening weekend, so we might just get its Carnage sequel. I'll get to that. So yeah, like I said, this is a spoiler talk for Venom. That is a spoiler warning if you have not seen Venom yet, and you don't care. Okay, keep watching. Let's talk about... So the movie Venom starts out with a spaceship coming back from its space mission, and it crash lands on Earth because the symbiotes on it wreaked havoc. So the ship crashes somewhere in Malaysia, and the Riot symbiote escapes through a human being, and apparently these symbiotes just go from person to person going to where they need to go. It like turns people into their zombies pretty much, like that one plant that is like a fungus that controls ants to do their bidding or whatever. I guess it was like that because it looked like these humans had no say in the matter. These symbiotes were just using these human beings for their own means. Which does bring up a question. Could the Venom symbiote do that to Eddie Brock if it wanted to? Or is it like the Force where it only has that effect on the weak-minded? It's probably that. So when we meet Eddie Brock in this movie, he's a pretty successful, aggressive journalist. He's got his own segment in the news where he interviews people and he like really gets the truth out. So when he gets the interview of a lifetime with Carlton Drake, he tells his girlfriend Anne Wang, or she's actually his fiance, who works for a firm that works for the Life Foundation. He does what every good boyfriend should do. He goes around her back and steals her information. I was being sarcastic. No good boyfriend should do that. It is entirely his fault. Anne Wang was right when she said, yeah, it's not Carlton Drake's fault you screwed up your life. It's your fault. You did this. Because when Eddie Brock goes to interview Carlton Drake, he brings up these allegations and the homeless people and he's killing people. That ends up ruining his entire life. It gets him fired from his job. It gets Anne Wang fired from her job. And because of that, it breaks her trust with him. And so she ends the engagement and the relationship. Just like that, he loses his entire life and just goes down the drain. And it's his fault. Like I said in my review, even before he gets the Venom symbiote, he's already no saint. He is not the most mentally stable guy in the world. Then the movie fast forwards 6 months, which I was like, whoa, okay. That was quite the intro. That was like 15, maybe even 30 minutes. Which props to that, you know, the movie's taking its time to tell the story, but then that just means that we have less time with Venom. The Life Foundation has begun human trials with these symbiotes. I think they have like 4 of them or 3 of them, and one of them is straight up Scream. Like one of them is yellow with a little bit of red and it's crawling and they're doing that, you know, experiment with the bunny rabbit. I'm like, oh, that is Scream's colors, like plain and simple. Which got me excited. I would have loved to have seen Scream in this movie because Scream is awesome. But then Scream is nowhere in this movie. I guess that was just more of an Easter egg than anything else. Boo. And that's another thing that makes me scratch my head about these symbiotes. They're testing with human people. That one guy, Isaac, who Carlton Drake was quoting the Bible, talking about Abraham and Isaac and everything. And then the symbiote goes inside this guy and ends up killing him. He's like, "Rawr!" And then he just plops to the ground and he's dead. I was like, okay, so do these symbiotes just kill people they don't agree with? It has to be like a blood type match or something, or I don't know how these symbiotes decide who they're gonna stick around with. But then Eddie Brock is approached by Dora Skirth, played by Jenny Slate, in a pretty funny scene, I thought, because, you know, Eddie Brock was in that convenience store and she's all like, I work at the Life Foundation. Eddie Brock's all like, you do? Wow, good for you. We're done. He just walks off. He's become pretty bitter. I love it. It's funny. I'm so glad they fixed her dialogue though. You remember the second trailer when she was all like, we call them symbiotes. And everyone online was like, that's not how you fucking say that word. So when she actually said it right in this movie, she was all like, we call them symbiotes. I literally, in the theater, I was all like, yes! She said it right. So she takes him to the Life Foundation to sneak in to actually confirm what he originally accused Carlton Drake of, which is that, yes, he's experimenting on homeless people like Cave Johnson in Portal 2, including this homeless woman that Eddie Brock knew, Maria, which I really like that. When you're down in the dumps living your lowest low, but you still have a life in a city, you're gonna end up befriending local people like homeless people living on the street and, you know, convenience shop vendors. I don't know, to me that just makes Eddie Brock seem like more of an everyman. I liked it. So when he sees someone he knew, this homeless woman, being experimented on, he tries to get her out and she breaks out, and that's how he gets the Venom symbiote. And that's when we get to the part of the movie that I was not a huge fan of, is that when he first has this symbiote, it's messing with his head and making him do all sorts of weird, disgusting shit, really. Like he's going to restaurants and eating just raw food. He's going in that lobster tank and eating live lobster. I was like, ugh, that's disgusting. No one wants to watch that. I mean, props for the movie going there. You know, this thing is really messing with his head. But then finally, halfway through the movie, we get Venom's first appearance after this big action scene where the symbiote's helping him out, fighting off the bad guys. And now we have Venom, who is awesome. And let me preface this by saying that anything I say is awesome in this movie would be even more awesome if the movie were rated R. So it's not as awesome as it could have been. I'm hoping for an unrated version. We'll see though. So apparently this symbiote's plan is that he and like Riot and a bunch of other symbiotes are gonna gonna take Carlton Drake's rocket, go to their home planet, collect 1 million symbiotes, come back to Earth, and they're gonna eat everyone and take over the planet. That's the big plan. But then Eddie Brock finds out that the symbiote is actually like eating his insides, or at least that's what the MRI scan tells him, which I thought was really cool, that he goes in the MRI and it actually is weakening him because sound is one of the symbiote's weaknesses, that and fire, like I said in my video about the trailer. See, I know my shit. So he gets separated from the symbiote, and you see the symbiote just clinging to the glass, and he's like, come back. Then Eddie Brock straight up all like, we're done, and he just leaves. I was like, oh, they're going there with this movie where they're gonna trick us into thinking like, oh, there's not going to be a Venom anymore. The symbiote has to find its way back to Eddie Brock, who is now captured by the Life Foundation. So I love how the symbiote does it. It finds this dog, it attaches itself to the dog, and then it comes across Anne Wang, and she's like, okay, fine. So when Eddie Brock is being interrogated by these Life Foundation guys in the forest, you see the symbiote just, pulling people away like Batman style. And then you see her. It is straight up She-Venom. I did not think we were going to see She-Venom in any of these movies because it's Michelle Williams. I didn't think she had it in her. But nope, she straight up comes on the screen. She's like, hi, Eddie. I was like, holy shit. Awesome. And then Eddie Brock and Venom make out. I was like, okay, well, there's an image that I'm never going to be able to unsee. I mean, yeah, it's a way for the symbiote to go back to Eddie Brock, and I guess per superhero movie standards, there has to be a kiss in there somewhere. That's a nice twist on it. It does make me wonder if we're going to ever see She-Venom again. It would be a side of Michelle Williams' acting that I've never seen before. I'd like to see it done, I'm not gonna lie. Then we get to the Venom versus Riot fight, which, full transparency, I thought was awesome. I thought Riot was actually pretty cool in this movie. He was bigger and stronger than Venom. He could make weapons out of his arms, which is kind of a Carnage thing, which makes me wonder how Carnage is gonna be any different from Riot. I'll get to that. But I mean, the Venom symbiote warned Eddie Brock. He's like, Riot has shit you've never seen before. He has an arsenal of weapons. Our odds are pretty much zero. And Eddie Brock's like, fuck it, let's save the planet. Because I guess the Venom symbiote had a change of heart because of Eddie Brock. Like, Eddie Brock gave the symbiote faith in humanity or something. Okay, if you say so. So Venom's like, we will not let you take this planet. And then they have a pretty badass fight. The CG was a lot better than it looked in the trailer. I already said that in my review. And then there was that one part of the fight where they actually combine into one big, like, super being, which kind of confused me, to be honest. I mean, with the symbiotes, I kind of get it. They're liquid beings, so they can kind of mold into one, I guess. But that's also two solid human beings. Where do they fit in there? Just how does that logically work? I don't know, but it looked cool. And at the end, he's going up in the rocket, and then Venom stabs it, and then the rocket explodes, and it looks like the fire's going to kill the Venom symbiote, and he falls into the water, and that's the end. But of course, the Venom symbiote lives, and he's still a part of Eddie Brock, and he's keeping it a secret from Anne Wang this time around, which I imagine that's not going to be a secret for long. She's still in a relationship with that other guy, so I don't know how that's going to work going forward. Is she going to break up with that other guy and get back together with Eddie Brock? Do people really care about that? So now we have Venom, who is an anti-hero in San Francisco now, and that's where the movie ends. Then we have our mid-credits scene, which is what everyone wanted it to be. Like, as soon as Eddie Brock arrives at this prison and it says San Quentin Prison right there on the bottom, I was like, it's Cletus Cassidy. And it's gonna be Woody Harrelson playing Cletus Cassidy. Sure enough, you see Woody Harrelson with this big red, it looks like a wig, and everyone in the audience was like, yeah! And then you see Cletus Cassidy, he turns to the camera, he's like, when I get out of here, there's gonna be carnage. And I was like, that line is cheesy as fuck. But that was the studio telling us, the audience, if we're gonna do a sequel, it's gonna be Carnage. To which I'm like, yes! Let's finally see Carnage on the big screen. This is awesome. And I do agree with everyone else that if we're gonna do a Carnage movie, it's gotta be rated R. It has to be rated R. It's fucking Carnage. This guy is a complete monster. He's a savage. He's a killer. Carnage doesn't care about anyone. All he cares about is killing people. That's literally it. He's bloodthirsty and ruthless. And hopefully this Carnage symbiote is going to be a spawn of the Venom symbiote like it's always been. I want to see it happen. I want to see Tom Hardy versus Woody Harrelson. And I want it to be rated R. I need that in my life. It does make me wonder if they're going to bring in Shriek, who is Carnage's love interest. Because the way I understand it, when Carnage originally broke out of prison, he came across Shriek, who was like a big fan of Cletus Cassidy to begin with. And so they kind of had a mad romance going on. I wonder if they're going to bring her in. I'd like to see it. But honestly, I'd be fine with just Carnage. Because no one knows about Shriek. But I want to see the Venom sequel with Carnage. I want it to happen. And it might just happen because this movie made quite a bit of dough. In other Sony Marvel Universe news, that Silver and Black movie with Silver Sable and Black Cat, it ended up being split into two movies about each of the individual characters. There's going to be a Silver Sable movie and a Black Cat movie. I hope those also come to fruition because I still want to see those characters on the big screen. I have hopes for this Sony Marvel Universe going forward. They might not be fantastic MCU caliber movies, but it seems like they could be fun rides because all these characters are anti-heroes and villains. Black Cat, Silver Sable, Carnage, Venom. No straight up superheroes. It's a morally ambiguous field. I like that. I want to see a comic book movie universe with just those characters. So here's hoping it happens. So what are you hoping for this Sony Marvel Universe going forward? Whatever you want to see, go ahead and leave a comment. And don't forget to subscribe.